Greetings, I am Lies.
And I am Scandal.
And let's play a game together.
Yes!
Alright,
Aha!
I just I wish I'd met her even before I broke my leg. There's just so much to potentially unpack there. Not like anyone else. I don't care about the other two, whether I'd met them, but her I do. Rena looks at me as if, sorry, I could talk. Rena looks at me as if expecting me to do something. What should I do? What is this weird 3-step process every time? Kiss her on the forehead? Just give her a high five.
We can't have a continual conversation. We can't discuss our lives. We can't do anything else. It's either physical contact or physical contact.
Also, even if her bed is at normal height and we're in a wheelchair, we're going to have to stand up or pull ourselves up onto the side of her bed to kiss her on the forehead. We will have to pull ourselves out of our wheelchair and sit up on the side of her bed and get next to our hips, next to her, so we could lean over and kiss her. Or we'd have to grab her and pull her down to our height and kiss her. Because I've seen wheelchairs next to beds before, and if someone's sitting up in their bed, they are higher than the person in the wheelchair.
I have too! Well, especially in regards to, we don't even know how big Mr. is. I'm assuming average 16-year-old assigned male at birth boy, which could mean anything, but
could be somewhere between 5 feet and 5'8". That's gonna be your average,
based off of, I guess, they're just the understanding we have. But I'm just
so I don't see, I'm not feeling that he's feeling super attached to her or super emotional at the moment. I guess the whole she's the nicest person ever kind of thing could make you think maybe he's feeling affectionate, he'd want to kiss her on the forehead. But I'm having trouble with the logistics of if he's not brave. If Mr. isn't a brave, assertive kind of person, and if he's not organized, which he hasn't shown himself to be any of those things, his initiative to be able to get to her forehead to kiss her would not be there. The amount of organization to either get onto her bed or make himself stand up and lean over or pull her down to him isn't there.
There's also the fact that is an incredible amount of work to basically try to shuffle out of your chair, get up on the thing, lean up in this thing, try to direct her towards you. That is calling so much attention to yourself. I feel like Mr. would be way more inclined to be if I could get to you really quickly, I'd do this quick peck on the head and then sort of run away because
I think that's what the writers were trying to go for, is you've already scooted closer to her, so clearly you can just lean over and kiss her forehead. And I'm but if he's in a wheelchair, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
One, because, if you're pointed straight at her, first of all, your legs are in the way. Even if one of them isn't elevated, which we assume that it is, you're very far away. But if you're alongside, you've got the arm of your wheelchair in the way, because it's a hospital wheelchair, not a regular, working civilian wheelchair, right?
Yeah,
which there are differences. If you're ever looking for art references for wheelchairs, there was this really cool, post that I saw from someone who was, who had used wheelchairs, talking about the ones that they often use in comic books and in movies are really insensitive, poorly researched, because they're medical hospital wheelchairs rather than an active, day-to-day wheelchair of someone who's been in one their whole life, you know, or that has been in one for a long time.
Yep.
Anyway, so I don't think he can just do the quick kiss on the forehead, because logistically I don't believe it, so I'm going to say high five.
Yep, high five sounds good.
I raise my hand. A question, teacher? I just raised my hand.
And
then Cloud stares at the hand in confusion.
That was really funny,
okay,
honestly.
So just recently in our Final Fantasy playthrough, it was Aerith tried to give Cloud a high five.
Constantly.
And he acted like for a whole episode, she tried to do it 3 different times, and he acted like he was baffled and had never seen this gesture in his entire life. And this just makes me think of that. I raise my hand. This is a step-by-step process. We go into slow motion. I raise my hand. High five! Rena stares at my palm, wondering what she should do. She's Cloud! Perfect.
Oh my god.
She is Cloud. I kind of almost want to call that episode, if it wasn't that people look for episodes more for what part of the game you're in, I would just call it the trial of the high five.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Absolutely.
Wondering what she should do, because she's only 7 years old and her mom's not very enthusiastic, and no doctor has ever tried to high five her or nurse or anyone, even though that's a very common behavior that I've seen used toward kids.
I have also seen that behavior towards little kids,
toddlers. A lot of people are high five towards kids.
Oh yeah, because that is one of the most non-invasive asking behaviors for connection, where most people actually tend to assume hugs rather than be would you like a hug? The hug is more invasive compared to a high five. Right.
But also, high five is a quick way to sort of reward, confirm success in a way that includes you, the adult, and the child, but doesn't require an object like a sticker or, candy or a toy.
Right.
Anyway, all right. Wondering what she should do.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I don't know. And she does give me a high five.
Whoa. We've changed our tenses.
Yes.
And she does give me a high five.
This is now in the past instead of right now.
Also, I'm like, that is... No. It's like a weirdly active... I don't know how to describe it. And she does give me a high five.
Instead of
she did give me a high five.
Okay.
Or I don't know how to describe this, but that stands out really bad to me. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I would expect and she gives me a high five.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's supposed to sound like he was hesitant. I think the reason they broke it into so many words, including the I raise my hand, I say high five, she stares at me. I think this is supposed to be the payoff of she did do it. You didn't have to stay there and be awkward. I think that's what that's supposed to do.
Maybe.
All right.
What was that for, mister?
For being so awesome and having produced an awesome mom.
Also,
wait, you didn't make your mom made you. For your mom having made you so awesome.
Also, I'm like, what was that for? That sounds a little bit more like you did this to me rather than I participated. Again, the thing that I like about high fives is that you have the option to high five. It is you having to reach out rather than someone reaching to you and doing something to you.
Right. See, and I'm not getting the impression of that. I'm getting more the what was that for? She was not connected to your enthusiasm about how cool the situation is.
Honestly,
basically, you're going, this situation is so cool. Your mom's awesome. You're awesome. You think I'm awesome. I think you're the best person in the entire world. High five for all that shit. And she's going, high five for what? She has no connection to what suddenly changed. Everything's the same.
Again, the main character seems to be very much having their own personal internal driving experience, and all the other characters are around there going, I'm here?
I guess.
Hello?
Thanks.
I guess.
Oh, it's a sign that we're friends. It wasn't me celebrating just how positive all those things in that conversation were, because that would be too detailed for my vocabulary.
Or also would be too intimate?
Maybe. I would have to admit that I was having my internal experience to both myself and you, and that's a lot.
How delightful.
So it's a sign that we're friends.
Yep, completely.
That's what friends do, right? High fives is the friend gesture. Just like, head pats is the friend gesture. High fives. If you haven't seen My Mystic Dragons and you're here, there's an episode that establishes, based on their canon, that head pats are the friend gesture.
Yeah, it's really strange.
It's an interesting choice.
I'm also just again, it could very much just be a cultural thing that I'm not picking up on, but for me, socially, head pats are very derogatory unless they're really directed towards kids. Because again, it's that thing of going, I'm acknowledging, but also it is still...
I'm getting up above you.
Yeah.
To interact with this.
Because that's what you do to animals, is you pat animals on the head. You scratch them. You pet them on the head. Even
because
for kids,
I
don't...
than you.
And it's very much that thing of going, it's like talking to short people. You don't talk to short people by going, hello, I'm going to look down at you and talk to you. It's I'm going to squat down with you. Hey, what's up?
Or you
for
back
some people,
up so you have similar line of sight if you're just a little farther away.
Right, and some people, though, even who have been I'm short, and I hate it when people, kneel down or squat down to talk to me. That is deliberately going, oh, you're short, let me get on your...
I need to accommodate you.
For you, yeah. That's... there's a lot of nuance to the conversation, and it's very complex, and I will not say that I know every aspect of it. I just know that sometimes it's frustrating.
I would tend to say that there are accommodations that made amongst people that know each other to get on a grounds of equalness that they are comfortable with.
Right.
If you don't know people, it can be very challenging what to do. But anyway, that's what friends do, right? At least that's what I do with my friends. And since I've never high-fived anyone on the screen ever, I don't have any other friends.
It's okay. I don't really have friends because they weren't my friends from school or from my team, my team where I was screaming and wanted them to not come in and see me, even though I literally won't explain why.
The two nurses are not my friends, and the doctor's definitely not my friend, and my ex-boyfriend Ken, he's not my friend.
No.
But you are my friend.
I see. So
what?
I see. So it's a boys thing.
Boys who have friends do high fives. Boys. Because I've never had a boy that's a friend before.
I'm just like, Ryder,
How
you sound insane.
old is she supposed to be? Like, I'm fine. If you establish she's 8 and that's what we're doing, he has an option between dating a 35-year-old or an 8-year-old and a couple in between. No big deal. Or at least one in between. I was going to say, but like, can you tell us what the intended age for this child is?
I'm also just like, it's a boys thing. Sounds like you have a radical culture that doesn't have high fives. This is a thing where we established earlier of talking about, oh, yeah, high-fiving is a thing that people do with little kids a lot, actually, as a reward for behavior.
Especially with male little kids, because it is a slightly gendered convention in my experience.
Is it?
In that it is more commonly used for a young boy than a young girl, where I've seen a lot more pat her on the back, pat her on the head, tell her she did a good job. And with dudes, you go, high five, man.
Maybe I'm crazy.
Maybe
as somebody who has identified as non-binary for a while, it really is a thing where, especially like even for basically individuals that I assume exist in gendered female circles, it'd be like, high five, you know?
No, and I think it's more of a like a 60-40 kind of thing. Like, it's not super heavy,
right? But
it might be like 65-35 based on my experience of it's used more with men.
Okay. Honestly, I don't know. I also do have the background of I have 2 older brothers. It could literally be a gendered experience.
You are around a lot more men.
Yeah, to me it's not. I'm just like, that seems weird.
But saying I see, so it's a boy thing, like, I don't think it's that intense at all. Like, that sounds
fucking weird.
Damn. Wrong move. Girls kiss each other. Girls clearly kiss each other on the forehead when they're friends.
Yeah. No.
Because honestly, I think this is the game telling you should have gone for the premium option, obviously. I think this is a writing convention for that. But I'm also having this interesting experience of going, okay, if that's the language you're going to use, damn wrong move. And she's going, it's a boy thing then. Are you then inferring the converse that kissing each other on the forehead is what girls do when they're friends?
Uh-huh.
Which is hilarious, going, yes, let me find one of my good female friends. And and whenever you have them that's really successful, really good, like, wow, that was such good conversation. Wow, we were really successful. God, we just raised that barn like you wouldn't believe. Time to kiss each other on the forehead. That sounds a little wild.
That also is one of those things of going, now we're saying that Mr. has an agenda of going, move, I made the wrong decision to get to what?
I was just saying, what? Yeah, wrong decision for what?
What?
To not offend her? Because she didn't seem offended. To not confuse her?
Or wrong move for not getting her closer in the romantic sphere. Because again, there's a level of where I think it's really funny sometimes to play Otome games and the level of assumptiveness of going, well, of course you're trying to date someone. I'm going, no, not at all. Because if you're just all in the loop of going, this is what the dating looks like, you have no idea, my dude.
So one thing that I have loved is that as we've explored more paid dating games, there are a lot of them modernly that allow you the option to date or not date. So you can just play the game if you want to, with a bunch of interesting, hot, theoretically dateable people around you.
Right.
But you're not forced to choose anybody.
Right. Or at least that we've seen. Because again,
we've seen.
Yeah, well, like, we haven't actually specifically played them. We've only played through a little bit of Arcade Spirits, and we have another one that we actually bought recently that sounded really interesting, but it also sets itself up as going, you can do romantic stuff or you can do friendship stuff, and it's not required to do one or the other.
And we've run into a good number of them now that claim that you can choose a non-romantic route as an option, especially on, I'm not going to remember the name of the website, but there's a website that hosts developing games so that people can basically review them the way you sort of like proofread books.
Right.
Anyway, it used to be a boys thing.
What the fuck are you talking about?
But we can make it our thing, right? Okay, it used to belong to generically the boys of all boys in society, but we can take it from every single one of them as a gendered or functional convention that's expected out of boys and make it our personal thing.
Again, in this world, is this a boy behavior that they didn't convey to the audience at all?
And
like, so if we're going to assume now, because at this point I can't, I'm lost in terms of like what they think gendered stuff is.
Right.
So it's like, so you're implying then to the reader going, high fives are for boys only. And so this is a convention of our world that we never told you about or Mr. never illustrated to the audience at all. Like,
and then also still going after that going, can you really take a common social convention and make it your personal thing? And sure you can. You could be like, yes, lots of people do fist bumps, and now our personal romantic thing is a fist bump, and that's cool. I would say, but can we make it our thing? Can we take it away from guys and make it our thing? I don't know. It feels weird to me. Like, I don't even know how to explain exactly how it feels a little weird instead of, it could totally be our thing, but also why are you trying to make a thing that is your thing?
No kidding. Again, the thing of going, wrong move.
That would be amazing.
Because we need a thing that's our thing, not like just a friend thing that I do with friends or that's cool and that, in jokes and stuff, but it has to be specifically your and my specific thing, our thing, because our as a couple, because I'm trying to make us sound like a couple.
So do you know what kills me?
What?
I just realized also in some way. So recently, we rewatched I think I probably have never really actually seen most of Coneheads, but we actually watched the movie Coneheads. I'll just say that. My friend has rewatched it finally, and then I think I've watched bits of it in the years past.
You've now seen it all the way through.
Yeah, all the way through. But it was really funny because there's a whole part where they have basically the daughter of the main characters who are the Coneheads, and then you have her boyfriend that she's interested in, and they have this weird breakup fight thing that is so ridiculously non-conversational. We're not really communicating anything. Talk that's just sort of them awkwardly dancing around each other, and then it just kind of ends with them going, "There was a great talk, thanks." And it's so weird. And I'm like, I realize now that a lot of, because there's a lot of assumptive behaviors that people are performing, and this feels really assumptive based off of a certain set of standards that we as readers are not privy to, because the game seems to be operating off of some level of, well, you're playing it from this angle, right?
So
or this direction. So again, where we've talked about in other games, we're going, you seem to be assuming that we're in the fandom when we understand the language of the fandom, like, for example, even the heteronormative fandom, that this is just what this looks like.
One of my good friends recently described to me that if you read pulp fiction, and so it's meant to play on the tropes of normal fiction, that you're assumed to read normal fiction so you can recognize those tropes.
Right.
And I think, and so it doesn't work to bring most readers in. It assumes you know what you're doing. In the same way, if you read pulp romance, it assumes you know the tropes of the genre so you can see the plays on them.
It's also the same thing in regards to if you guys ever read a lot of mystery. They're the same idea as there. They're like, there's a lot of things that people aren't willing to tolerate because they don't understand that that's the convention of mystery.
I say they don't teach you how to read a mystery.
Yeah.
I say, and there really is, like, some people will teach you how to read a mystery if it's not your particular genre. But I feel like that's what's happening in all of these games that we're trying to keep described, is the genre assumes you're familiar with the genre. And what I think my friend was trying to say here is that basically there is this assumption that you just know how romance works. And in the Coneheads movies, they really did use a lot of exaggerated shorthand to knock on particular tropes. And that, to me, that scene was such an accurate, like, dissing on how high school romances are usually handled.
Right.
It was so accurate to me
Right.
as a summary of how stupid and uncommunicative they usually are in a really effective, sort of blushy and, kind of like enthusiastic kind of way.
It was also funny because for me, because I actually recently also rewatched Grease, and I hadn't seen it for years, and I had this weird thing. I was talking to my friend on the phone about it, and going like, oh my God. So I just rewatched this, and it occurs to me that there's so little like follow-up and communication. There's just a lot of like this hyperactivity of like, oh yeah, we got these characters, and then they completely drop them. We have this character's moment, and they sang a song, and then the character drops in the background. We've got this thing, like there's this thing of going, we're gonna draw out all these points and stuff, and then they just drop them.
And it's very much a musical more than a movie.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not really like it's like it's the story that's meant to be following Sandy and Danny, but we totally have other characters, we swear, and they're all really involved, except that they're not. They're sort of just like there to fill in the airtime while we turn around to get back to Sandy and Danny, and it's really awkward.
It was interesting listening to my friend about it anyways, and I think I need to rewatch it now.
Yes.
So that would be amazing. Oh, right! High fives are now our personal thing. They belong to us. Ooh, that was close. Because what I'm implying and what I'm assuming is that if that had offended her, all of the things that it said before would be inaccurate, and then I would not be her friend anymore, and then her mom would just eat me. And by that I mean, you, the reader, should feel like you almost lost your chance at dating her in that moment by making the wrong choice, and you should choose more carefully in the future. There is a knock at the door.
Honestly, I also like the knock that was... I love the knocks and the little noises that are in these games. They're really fun.
One of the few things that I really enjoy about the Genius games that we've played is that they do have an interesting sound profile. And that occasionally you will have the clapping of horses' hooves. You will have the rattle or jingle of something. You will have someone actually knocking on a door every now and then. Now, it's irregular. They don't seem to, like, make it uniform.
Right.
But it is there, and it's kind of cool.
Yes.
There's a knock on the door. Ominously, the music stops. Louisa, Irma, and Dr. Barton enter together all at once But the only thing I can see is Louisa, because that's all I care about.
And the sound guy fucking freaks out and stops playing.
That's
Because
what I
it has
said,
gone
like,
dead quiet.
Yeah, the music just stopped. Like, it really was everything stopped when he said there's a knock at the door.
Yep.
You heard the knocks thing, but then the sound didn't come back. And I
Uh-huh.
think that's hilarious. So we're going to find out if Louisa is the only one we get to see when there are 3 other people in the room during the next scene.
Honestly, I'm a little fascinated. So, well, thank you very much, guys, though, for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and also share our videos if you're having a good time with us. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi or Patreon. I got some links in the description down below.
Yep.
And I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great playing with you.
Bye!